What's up everybody? Today we're back on the garage again. It's a nice chilly day, but that's not going to stop us from getting things done. In a previous video, we took the Miata out for a cruise and the steering wheel was shaking quite a bit. That might have something to do with the alignment I have set up. It is not technically meant for the street, it is more of a track alignment setup. If I remember correctly, I have about a 1/4 inch to 3/8 toe out in the front. That can cause a lot of shake on the steering wheel and create a not so smooth ride. I'm pretty sure last season I made some adjustments to the driver's side after I smacked into the wall, and I did not level out or recenter any of the alignment and match it to the passenger side. I'm going to zero out the toe and also pull a little camber out of it just to make it so it rides a little smoother and it doesn't wear out the tires funny. Today we're gonna start off by taking some base measurements of where the setup currently is. We don't wanna go too far out of whack. The current setup drives really nice on the track. We just wanna make sure that it's all leveled out and centered so that it's even better. Now I am not a professional at doing alignments. I also do not have an alignment rack. I'm going to be using a big carpenter square, a tape measure, and some toe plates to get this all centered out and even. Now when we measure out our camber, that is typically in degrees as well when you're on an alignment rack. I am not on a rack. I don't have a way to actually tell the degrees of what the camber is. I'm just gonna use a carpenter square with a tape measure. So the bottom of the wheel, you just slide this up to it, and then you take your measurement from your square from 90 to the top of the wheel, and it gives you kind of an idea of where your camber is so you can match it side to side. So all we're gonna do, place this square on the ground and kind of center it off on the wheel, hold it nice and straight. Now because this is touching the sidewall bead of the tire, we're gonna take a measurement off of that same point up on top. We are just about right on 2 inches, but we're, I'd say, 1.15 inches. So if we want to go really, really close, 1.15 inches. Now let's check out the passenger side, do the same thing. Square on the ground, pull the tape out, make sure it's nice and flat, centered on the wheel, and pull that same measurement. We've got 1.15 inches as well. So the camber matches side to side right now. We'll get that written down and keep moving on. Next we'll measure out the front toe. That is a little bit more difficult to measure out by yourself, especially with toe plates and 2 tape measures, to get a good reading front and back of the wheel, how it faces in your wheel well. I've got these really nice toe plates that got some notches in them. Toe plates make checking your alignment at the track really easy and really fast. To make using the toe plates easier on myself, I just have 2 tires pressing that toe plate up against the tire to make sure it doesn't move when I'm trying to pull on the tapes. I got the tape measures and toe plates both set up. Now when you're measuring your toe, make sure your steering wheel is also straight. If your steering wheel is tweaked one way or the other, it may mess up your readings, so make sure you got that centered. So we'll pull the tapes in here real quick. The back I have at 73 3/16, and the front I have 73 1/4. So I'm actually pretty straight right now, which is a little surprising. I thought I had it towed out by quite a bit. So maybe I'll double check my plates and make sure everything is where it needs to be and get another reading. After taking quite a few measurements and moving the car around a little bit and adjusting the steering wheel, I have got the final measurement of 1/8 of an inch toe out in the front. So we'll take and write that down on the whiteboard. Now we will attempt to get an Ackerman measurement. That's going to be a little bit more tricky. You have to turn your steering wheel basically all the way to right lock and then to lock on the left. And then we'll take measurements with the toe plates on both of them and see where we're at. It's most likely not the correct way of measuring Ackerman, but we're gonna do it anyways. After getting the steering wheel turned all the way to the passenger side or to the right side of the car, it is not going to work how I'm trying to measure out the Ackerman. So we're gonna take the toe plates and just draw a line by the side of the tire, and then we'll take measurements from the front and back of those lines. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to curve the tape around the tires, and that's not gonna get a good accurate measurement. What I'm going to do to get this as accurate as possible, I'm going to measure out the center of this toe plate. We got an overall length of 24.5. That should be 12 1/4 to the center. Now we're gonna measure out probably 6 inches both ways so that we have a 12-inch mark that we're gonna put on the ground so that we have a little bit more accuracy when we're trying to measure this out. So something that I kind of realized and figured out as I'm going through the alignment stuff, which is why I wanted to go through this stuff anyways. A good rule of thumb, when you are at about 60% of your total used angle, your wheel and tire setup should be about zeroed out on your camber. Right now I am at full lock and I still have negative camber, which is not what I want to see. So I'm going to make that adjustment in the camber when I go to reset up the alignment. I now have the lines drawn on the ground from the tires going full lock right and full lock left. Now I just have to move the car back a little bit so we can get some good solid measurements pulled on those lines. So we have 3/8 of an inch of Ackerman going to the right side of the vehicle. Now we got to measure the left. When we have the steering wheel turned towards the driver's side, the front of that measurement is 69 5/8 and the rear is 69. So that's 5/8 of Ackerman towards the driver's side, and there's also farther steering angle towards the driver's side, which could mean that the 1/8 of an inch toe out is towards the driver's side, giving it more steering angle that direction. So we're going to try and even that out and correct it to where when we turn from right to left and left to right, it matches the angle. We have more Ackerman and steering angle going towards the driver's side or turning left. This can be quite an issue, especially for the driver's side right now. I'll show you why. This is the inside lip of the driver front wheel. If you can kind of see, it's shiny around here. It's not supposed to be. That is actually grinding and taking material off of the wheel on the inside, and it's starting to grind away on the main barrel of the wheel. That's not good. We don't want that. The passenger side wheel is not doing that same thing. It is only on the driver's side. Maybe a couple nicks here and there, but it's not anything to be concerned about. So when we look underneath here, right about there is where the wheel is contacting, and it's kind of a sharp corner on that. So it's digging into the wheel and taking material off. These bolts up here and this plate is what you use to adjust your camber on the front. So I measured off the little gap that's here and on the other side. And I have a larger gap on the driver's side on the outside of that ball joint. And that could also be adding to the problem of the wheel contacting the control arm because there's more camber and more tilt on the wheel towards that control arm. So I'm going to pull some of that out and then recheck all this stuff again and keep moving. Now we'll get all 6 of these bolts loosened up real quick. Not going to loosen them all the way. We're just going to get them broke free so that we can make a minor adjustment with the camber. We'll just take something to shove in between here to kind of help push this out. So right now at the driver's side, I got the camber matched to the passenger side, but we need to make a little bit further of an adjustment. I mentioned something about at 60% of your maximum angle, you should be about zeroed out on your camber. So I need to actually pull some camber out because both sides were still negative camber at full lock. I have the driver's side camber set up where I think is going to be correct. I won't know until I actually set it on the ground. Just by sliding the camber out of the car, it is towing in the front quite a bit. So we will have to adjust the toe. So you might wonder, how long is this alignment taking me? So far I've been working on this for a solid hour. Just getting one side kind of dialed in where I want it, and then we're going to make the same adjustments on the other side. I'm going to show you guys what I accomplished with just making those couple of adjustments, the eccentric bolt and pulling out some camber. Right now the driver front tire is not contacting the upper control arm at full lock, which is great. It'll be kind of hard to tell, but right inside there, we've got plenty of room now. Even if you try and like add some angle there, it's not contacting. Before, it was slamming into that. Why? I guess I couldn't tell you. I didn't make that many adjustments or that extreme of adjustments, but now it's not contacting the control arm. Now that we have the camber and caster set up where I want it, we're going to set it back on the ground, get a toe measurement again, and then go from there. We have to adjust toe back out. I'm pretty sure it's towed in quite a bit right now. Moving your camber out tows your vehicle in. I have it back on the ground and measured out the toe. I'm currently 3/16 toe in. This is the tricky part. Probably, I'd say the last half an hour, 45 minutes, I've just been playing with the toe in, toe out. It can take quite a long time to do that. because you start playing with one side, it moves the other side along with it. Then you have to pull the other side, pulls it in. You have to squish the suspension, roll it forward and back, adjust your steering wheel. Long story short, it takes a lot of time. Take your time with this step, because if you're off by even a little bit, it's gonna pull funny when you get onto the road. I have it pretty much set where I want it. I have a 1/4 of an inch toe out right now. I think it's pretty close to actually like the same amount on both sides going out. We'll see. Next step is to take it out on the street and actually see if it drives straight and true. Yes, it might have a little bit of like touchiness to the steering, but that's okay. When you go toe out, it is gonna be more touchy in corners, but that's kind of what I want. I want quick, fast reflex with the steering, especially when you're at high angle. You wanna be able to correct yourself really quick with small movements, and that's what this should do. So we're just driving down the street a little bit. The alignment feels pretty good. The steering wheel is just ever so slightly to the left, which leads me to believe that the passenger side is towed out a smidge more than the driver's side, but it's not like unmanageable. It's actually pretty decent. And it also probably depends on the road a lot too. If the road has a little bit of lean to it, it's going to pull whichever way. So I drove to a road where I know it's pretty fresh tar. It's going to make kind of judging the alignment a lot easier. So like it's really nice and straight, just a small adjustment, but like you can let go and it goes pretty straight. I think that's pretty good. I'll maybe make some adjustments when I get home of like pulling that tire in, the passenger tire in just a smidge, and maybe pushing the driver tire out a smidge just to kind of offset it a little bit. Hopefully bring that steering wheel back straight. Well, I'd say today was a success getting the alignment recentered and everything is squared off. Driving on the street, it feels way better. There is far less vibration and shake in the steering wheel, so that is a win for me. If you like this kind of content, smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.